This podcast is sponsored by nobody. Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming my good friend Liz Alexander. She's never done a podcast before, and she's not in show business, but I've known her for over a decade. I knew her in the Bay Area bar scene, and she's coming on today. We're going to reminisce old times and just have a fun chat. And I can't wait. I asked her to come on here in 2019, and she got stage fright and anxiety, but now she's okay. She's told me just a few moments ago that she's nervous, but we will get through it together, and it's going to be a good talk. She's an absolute sweetheart, and we got some interesting stories to discuss. Also, it's my 1900th interview. Yes. 1900th interview. As I've said in previous anniversary shows, I didn't think I was going to get past 10 interviews, but I am so grateful. I am so grateful for all my guests and all my listeners who tune in daily to listen to the show. Thank you all for all of that. I know I keep saying I'm going to spare you all that, but I just have to keep fucking saying it every time. I am just blessed and grateful to have this opportunity to have this amazing podcast. And I love you all. So yeah, here is my interview with Liz Alexander.
Hello.
Hey Liz, welcome to the show. How are you today, hun?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me. How are you, Tommy?
I am fantastic, and congratulations, you are my 1900th guest today.
Wow. Congratulations goes to you. That's crazy.
I didn't want to make your nerves worse, so I decided to tell you on air.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing. I remember hearing about this from you when you first started years ago, and I think that's just so awesome that you've continued to do that and you've had such great success with it. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm just pinching myself every day, and oh my God, it's been forever, Thank you so much for finally coming on today. This is so fantastic.
Oh, yes, I'm happy to be here. It's a long time overdue. I know I owe you this from many years ago, so I'm glad you were willing to have me on.
Yes. So, let's see, we met probably, 2011 or something like that?
I was just thinking about that a few minutes ago before you called, trying to remember when it was that we met. But yeah, that timing sounds about right.
Yeah, because it was like at Rudy's Pub in Palo Alto.
Mm-hmm.
During that period, I was going to karaoke a lot and seeing Heather Harding's crew of friends over there, especially when Mark opened the patio at Rudy's. And I remember you were there, and you were with that girl, Karen, the short, cute girl with the pizza sausage on her face.
You did not. Yes, Karen, I do remember that, yes.
Yeah.
Those were fun times. Those were a lot of fun times.
Yeah, she was adorable, though. I mean, a lot of the guys had a hard-on for her at the bar,
I think they did. I really do. She's a very nice girl. We would go out a lot, and, she's always just a really fun person to hang out with.
Yeah, and she worked at the German beer place in Redwood City.
The German beer, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, oftentimes she would get off of work and come and meet me, and we'd be out until God knows when, and do it all over again the next day. I was just thinking about that, and I was out a lot more than I probably should have been at that time.
Oh, we all were.
It was, it was all fun though. So.
Yeah, we all were. Yeah, and who's the guy you were dating then?
Brett.
Brett, that's right.
Yes. Yes.
I saw
Brett.
him. I saw him a bunch of times.
You?
I saw him a bunch of times at Bobby D's before I moved in 2017, and he didn't remember me because he was always fucked up whenever I saw you guys at the bar. But he was very nice to me at Bobby D's, and he was never judgmental. He was always having my back, so I thought that was cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's great. I heard from him recently, actually. I want to say it was a few months ago, and I haven't heard from him in years. I mean, we split over 6 years ago. We were together for about 6 years, and then we split up, and I hadn't really heard from him. He would text me every now and then to kind of check in and just be like, hey, how are you? We should, get together. And I never did. And I remember a couple of months ago, I'm sitting, I work remote from home. Yeah. And I have 2 little kids. And so I was in my office, and my, I don't know if it was my son or my daughter, but they like to play with my phone, and they handed the phone to me and to open it. And I saw on Messenger, his name pop up, and I was like, oh gosh, what is this now? Right? Like, I haven't heard from you in a while. Like, what's going on? And, I opened the phone. I wasn't going to read it then. I opened the phone, gave it to my kid. And of course, the first thing that they do is they open the notification up. So I read it, and he was checking in. I guess he has 3 kids now, 3 daughters. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And I think he is maybe living in the East Bay. I think he's still doing stuff in the bar scene, bartending up in the city. I think is the last time that I heard from him, when he was doing that. So, but yeah, crazy how life has changed since then, since those days.
Yeah, I was going through a scary time at that time. I had lost my job, which I invested so much time in my life into, and I finally had a purpose, I thought, and then I turned to alcohol, which wasn't the answer.
No, it never is. I've seen that a lot throughout the years, and I think, we've all, maybe not all done it, but I definitely did that as well for a time, and that scene, though, that downtown Palo Alto scene really just sucks you in. Yeah. You start going out and having fun, and then it's like, it just really kind of gets you. Next thing you know, you're going out 5 nights a week, and it's the same crowd, but there's so many different fun little pockets and areas and bars to go to that you just kind of move your way through. And it was a really fun time, but there was also a lot of toxic times too during that era.
Oh yeah, real toxic times. And Palo Alto got so much more bougie as it wore on. Yeah.
Oh, it completely changed. I mean, after, the 10 years or so that I spent down there kind of doing that whole thing, I mean, it just completely, totally changed from what it used to be.
Because I remember I stopped seeing you around after a while. Like, okay, I became homeless in late 2013, and me and the guy I was in my accident with, we spent a lot of time in Palo Alto during that period. We went to Rudy's a lot. We were actually there for the New Year's Eve party that ended up being the last night before it closed down. And I remember I didn't see you during that period.
No, I think. So what year was that?
That was 2013 going into 14.
2013 going into 14. What was that? I didn't go to the new, I pulled out of that scene after a while. I don't know what time it was, but when Rudy's had closed that New Year's before, and then I think he had his place where he moved to the other location that was the patio, right? Mm-hmm. And kind of doing that thing. I started really pulling myself out of that scene, though. I feel like that was kind of a big time that just the toxicity was getting to me, and I didn't want to be around it. I kind of just pulled back and pulled away, and slowly kind of started just doing my own thing. I had moved to the East Bay. Uh-huh. I was in Fremont for a while, and I think, just kind of trying to stay over on that side of the bridge for a while. And really, I think I lost myself a lot when I was dating Brett. And, towards the end of the time that I was really hanging out in that scene with everybody, I kind of lost who I was, and really just kind of went through some depression, and really wanted to try and I guess hide in a way. And so I really kind of pulled away from everything, and really just kind of kept to myself for a while. Mm-hmm. And just started kind of hanging out in Fremont and hanging out with new friends, and really trying to start over and kind of reinvent myself.
My mom and I were lined up to move to Fremont at the time of my car accident.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, we had a place to go look at that week, but of course I never made it because of my accident and my coma and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it ended up not happening. My brother moved to Fremont about a couple of years later, and that's where he was living until he had to come live with us after his alcoholism got bad. And yeah, I mean, God, had I known, God, we could have hung out over there. And
Oh, that would have been great.
yeah, my accident wouldn't have happened and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But me
I
and
know, what a scary
what?
time too. I remember hearing about that, and I think I even was in touch with your brother for a very short time, but just kind of after I heard, and I was just so shocked. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it was it was a pretty interesting moment of my life that just led me to this point. I'm just grateful for it every
Mm-hmm.
day that it happened the
Yeah.
way it did, you know. But yeah, I mean, God, I continued. We continued going to the patio, but then I kind of stopped after Zeke died
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because Zeke and I we were buddies in elementary school, and but
Oh, you were. I didn't know you knew him that far back.
oh yeah, I mean since like first second grade, and like by the time we got to junior high, he started hanging out with all the kids who bullied me. So we weren't
Oh no.
we weren't close anymore. But then until the last night I saw him at the patio, he always said hi
Mm-hmm.
to me everywhere we saw each other at. Always.
Oh gosh, I love that man. I mean, he was such a nice guy. I didn't meet him necessarily through the bar scene. I met him through one of my good friends, was a mutual friend of his that was really good buddies. And this was back before he started, working at Facebook, and
Hmm.
I think he was at Google being a chef there, and kind of before his career really took off. And he was always just such a sweet guy. We had gone out on a couple of dates, and just decided to kind of just remain friends. And I mean, everywhere you would go and you see him, like, definitely lit up the room. Everybody knew him. He was
Yeah.
always, happy to see you. Just a really great guy.
He was, and I was at his funeral. It was really rainy that day,
Hmm.
and just really sad.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I was not able to go. I think I had work
Yeah,
or something. I remember not going, but I think Brett had gone to it at the time.
he probably
Um,
did.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty sad. I can't believe it's coming up on 10 years early next year. I think it was that night. The last night I saw him is when he died. Like later that night, probably. I don't know. Something was wrong. I could tell it. Like seeing him.
Hmm. Yeah. God, such an unfortunate thing to happen, and you know,
Mhm.
unfortunately, I feel like I've had a lot of those happen with people that I've known that are just really, really good people.
Mhm.
It's just always so sad.
It is. It is. What high school did you go to?
I went to MA.
Okay.
I was only there for 2 years, though. I was there my freshman and sophomore year, and then the beginning of my junior year, my dad ended up sending me away for several years
Yeah.
um, to, those wilderness programs
Uh huh.
where they come and get you and then kind of drop you in the middle of the desert,
Right.
and you kind of have to survive. So I did that. And then, once that was done, I got sent from there directly to a place up in Northern California, up in
Mhm.
Redding. I don't know if you're familiar with that area, but up
I
kind
lived
of
in
by
Reading
Mount
for six
Whitmore and stuff.
years.
Oh, you did? Oh, so you probably know the place I'm talking about. But yes, Cascade School. It was very up in the mountains above Mount Whitmore. And so I was there for about 25 months, I think. And then I ended up about 10 days before I was supposed to graduate that program, I got kicked out. And I remember my dad picking me up from that airport just so mad, like didn't even want to talk to me for a couple of days. And but yeah, it was a time. So and then I came back, and everyone had been gone. It was crazy, Tommy. You hear about those types of things happening and you never think it's going to happen to you.
No.
I was like, oh, my dad doesn't know about that stuff, which was actually really crazy because a couple of friends that I had, one in my grade and one in a grade above me, they both got the same thing happened to them. They were taken to one of the wilderness programs and then to that school. And so a bunch of my friends were like, be careful. We don't want you to kind of get, taken away like it did with Rusty and Trey. And I'm like, oh, my dad doesn't know about any of that stuff. And sure enough, one morning, I was woken up by my dad crying, and there were these two people there, and I'm like, what's going on, Dad? And he's like, they're going to take you somewhere, and, I still didn't really even know what was going on at that point. I don't even think I really fully understood until, I had gotten to the airport, and I was sitting waiting for the plane to take me to Idaho. It was a crazy time for sure.
Yeah. I moved to Redding in April of 2017 because my godparents live out there, and they helped me and my mom get a place. We couldn't get a place in the Bay Area. 4 years of living without a place. It's just our credit was bad, and just everything was awful. And I hated it up there in Redding. It was so conservative, so rednecky, so closed-minded. I had to get out. So we moved to Modesto in June.
Okay. Yeah. Redding it's a different culture than the Bay Area for sure.
Yeah.
Completely different. And there's not a lot to do out there. I mean, I think it was I want to say there was a lot of meth was going on out there, which I think was ironic that they had the rehab facilitation place kind of up in that area.
Right.
Which I think now has since closed down. I think that place had shut down and then became like some kind of religious compound for a while, and then that place shut down. I don't think anything's happening with it right now, but yeah, Redding's definitely not somewhere I would venture to vacation or go anywhere. Now Mount Shasta's right down the road, right? That's beautiful, but yeah, definitely not my scene out there. And it's hot. Like you talk about the seasons. You're not used to that here in the Bay Area. You're used to kind of just, summer, but not too bad. It's hot up there, but then you get the snow and that can be beautiful. I mean, it's just very different than what we're used to.
It is. The sky's on fire now. God.
Yeah, I know. I'm outside on my back deck and it's not too bad right now, but trying to soak in the last of the heat wave before winter, as I say in air quotes, falls on us.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, where do you live now?
So I'm in the Bay Area still. I'm in South San Jose.
Okay.
Very south, so over kind of Santa Teresa, Kaiser area, which is a great neighborhood to live in. I mean, I have two young kids right now, and the neighborhood that we live in is just really nice. It's full of families, and it's nice that, my family is close by, so they can come over, 20-minute drive or so. And actually, Brian, my husband, he grew up in this area, so it was really cool for him to come back and raise our kids in this area.
Yeah. I like San Jose. There's parts of it I like. I was actually there back in August for a Comic-Con, and it felt so great to be back there. And there was this. It was at one of the hotels there. I think it was, God, what was it? A Hilton or something. And it was right down the street from this really good taqueria. It was in walking distance. And so we went there and had a really good burrito. The chips were lousy, though. That was the only bad thing I didn't like. But it was great to be back there and stuff. And, being here in Modesto now, at least I'm closer to the Bay Area, and I can go down there anytime now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so much great things to do, such great food. My husband calls it peopling. We haven't been out peopling in a while, because just the quarantine. You know, I got pregnant with my son, and I went on maternity leave a week, like I think that Friday, that I had my last day of work from, you know, before I went on my maternity leave. The following Monday, you know, the whole world shut down basically, and that's when the quarantine happened. So, you know, and then after that, you have a newborn, and you don't want, you know, COVID to get and happen with that. And then I got pregnant again. So I had 2 kids 2 years in a row.
Wow.
So just now, like, we're starting to come out of everything and, like, go out and, you know, experience what life is like again. You know, very much different now that you've got 2 little kids running around. But there's just so many great things to do in this area. You know, we love it, especially in San Jose. It's great. You've got, well, the hockey team is not that great anymore, but it's just fun to go to, you know, to a Sharks game or go downtown and get some great food and listen to the music they've got going on. So there's so many really, really fun things to do, but it is expensive. Like, I can totally see why everyone is moving out of the Bay Area. And to be honest, we're kind of looking at moving out of the state, you know, in the next couple of years. It's just too much. There's no way you can possibly, like, live like how it used to be.
It's weird, you know, growing up in San Mateo, it was a small community. Everybody knew everybody. Everybody had been there since the 50s or even before. And it was just a real camaraderie and stuff. Now it's all these tech dicks from the Midwest who just want to make money, and they don't care that they're demolishing our heritage, you know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we're a part of this, like, Facebook group that's, you know, basically about old downtown San Jose.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't grow up in San Jose, but my husband did. And so, you know, he will always comment and remember and, like, say, oh, yes, I remember when this place was there and that place was there. And, like, we're driving through, and, you know, he's always got these great stories about the places they're commenting on and showing pictures of in that group. And, you know, so I kind of learn a lot of the things from him, but, you know, just the farmlands and all that kind of stuff that's going on down here and, you know, aren't around anymore. And you know, just commenting all the time about how it's very different, you know, with raising children now here in this area than what it was when we were growing up in this area. And just to see the change that's happened and all the historic kind of buildings and events and things just kind of being moved and forgotten about. Definitely sad.
It is. It's really sad. And how long have you been married now?
Well, I say my husband, we're not technically married, yeah. But, you know, we've known each other for 15, 20 years. We ran in the same friend group. You know, we've been together for over 7 years, so we're common law. You know, we have a house together. We've got 2 kids. We'll always refer to ourselves as husband and wife, but don't have that piece of paper. So, but we've been together for a while. It can make things easier, you know, if need be, but yeah, we've been together for a while now. We've got our 2 kids. Our daughter is turning 2 in a couple of weeks, and then we have a 3.5-year-old boy. So they keep us super busy, and I feel like my life is just constant chaos because I work full remote from home, and so does Brian. And, you know, we've got animals, and we've got kids, and it's constant chaos.
I know there's days.
Definitely not how I thought my life would be when I was out in the bar scene in our 20s and 30s, right?
Yeah, well, that's all I was trying to do was try to get, you know, a partner and have kids and stuff, but now I don't want to. I'm like, I love being single, even though I have days where I want to, because I know that my mother's getting older and my dad, and just, like, I wonder, you know, what's going to happen, you know, after they're gone, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always something to think about. I feel like, for sure, I've been going to a lot of funerals lately for my friends' parents. And so it always makes me think about, you know, when things are going to happen in my life like that with my father. And hopefully that doesn't happen in a very long time. But, you know, it's just, I always tend to think of things like, oh, it's only been a couple of years, but no, I'm now 41. I am not in my 30s anymore. So, you know, and then kind of looking at it, you know, with with looking at things with my kids, and I definitely wish I would have started a lot earlier, because I don't want to be that old haggard mom like watching my kids do soccer and I'm like 70 years old. But you know, it's great. I love it. I love being a mom. I honestly never thought I would. And I'm just so blessed to have them. Yeah.
That is so wonderful. I'm so happy for you. I turned 40 in June, and I have type 2 diabetes that I got diagnosed with last year, and I'm watching it. I've lost 45 pounds so far. I have a lot more to go, and
wow, good for you though. That's no little feat for sure. That's really hard stuff to do, to change your lifestyle. I mean, that's a serious thing.
It's hard because, you know, I got metal in my leg from my accident, and it's just I'm a lot more lazy than I used to be, and I don't know. There's a theory that mercury makes you lazy, and I think there's mercury in that metal in my leg, so I think that's the reason.
Yeah, well, you know, first step is awareness, right? And then we work on whatever's moving forward. Those are the conversation that we were having the other night at dinner, and you know, with COVID and not going out and everything, you just get comfortable and you don't go out and do things, and you tend to become lazy. And you know, we really have put on that COVID 20 or so. And so, you know, just trying to get healthier, change your lifestyle, and it's hard to do, man. It's really hard.
It is. What's your favorite movie of all time?
Of all time, you know, I am not the biggest movie buff, I have to say, and so I'm probably one of the worst people you could have on your podcast, because I know your podcast is all about, you know, horror and sci-fi and movies from the 80s, and I was actually listening to some of your podcasts earlier, and you know, I found like it would just be really interesting to like hear, even though I don't know who these people are, just really kind of hear their stories and how they got into acting and just what it's like on set. Something that I found was really interesting was that you had talked to somebody, I think it was in one of your recent podcasts, about, you know, how movies like were made in only 2 to 4 days, right? And you had mentioned about the Little Shop of Horrors, and that really just brought back some nostalgia for me. Just even hearing the name of it, I always really loved that movie. I loved the singing and the dancing and the costumes, and just kind of, you know, and so I think that is a movie I'm gonna have to watch in the next couple of weeks, with it of course being October and Halloween, and you know, with my kids, and just kind of rewatching that, because there's some really great people or great actors in that movie, and you know, went off to do really great things. And I do remember, you know, just really loving to rent that movie from Blockbuster and like sitting home like on a Friday night and just watching it through the weekend.
That was the Gregory Moffat interview on Tuesday that you're referring to. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, I love talking about the creature feature movies and horror and stuff. Yeah, because the podcast started out as horror and sci-fi only, and then it evolved into everything, because I was going to a lot of horror conventions, and the arrogance of a lot of celebrities at these conventions kind of turned me off. It just didn't become fun anymore. I mean, I'm going to one in a couple of weeks to meet Elvira, because I've always wanted to meet Elvira. But
oh my gosh, Brian loves Elvira.
I'm sure he
grew
does.
up watching, and I know, really. But no, she's great. I remember watching her all the time too, and I think that's so cool. You're gonna go and meet her.
Yeah.
What is she? How old is she now? She's like 60 something.
She's
she
in
looks
her early
great.
70s, but you would never know it.
No, she looks so great. I'm really big into cooking shows, and so she was on one of these cooking shows that I watched that was doing a Halloween theme, and she came out as a judge, and I was like, wait, what year was this one made? It was a recent one of 2023, and I was like, how can she look that good after all these years?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Are you more of a music person?
I enjoy music. You know, I loved going to like concerts and just listening to live music, feeling that energy. I mean, I honestly feel like I'm just so out of touch with reality since, COVID hit. I haven't really been going out doing anything. I've been kind of bogged down at home. So I feel like I just don't know what's going on. I kind of have stayed inside this little bubble, and I need to kind of get back out there. I need to go do things. I need to live it up for a little bit, have some mom free time, and experience what the world is like again. Like going to concerts was something I really love to do. Doesn't matter what kind of music. It could be country, it could be rock and roll, it could be reggae, but just really feeling that energy live, I think is just so cool.
I love going to concerts, but they're so expensive now, and people complain. I'll tell you what, when digital came in and Napster came in and YouTube and so forth, record sales stopped. So they have to make their living going on the road and performing, even though they shouldn't, because they don't sound, like they did when they were young. But they're making their living with concert tickets, And my favorite interview I have done was the drummer for the Go-Go's, Gina Shock. She's been on twice already, and the first interview I am so proud of because I got her to be so vulnerable, and she had never been that vulnerable in an interview ever, and I'm just so happy.
Oh, wow. You must have some really great stories with all the people that you've talked to and interviewed, and just all the life experiences that you've had. I feel like you should interview yourself for your own podcast. I think that would be really interesting to hear.
Well, my 1800th guest was me. I had my friend Rachel.
Oh, was it?
My friend Rachel, who I met on the podcast, her father was an actor, and he was scheduled to come on, but then after he died, before it could happen, she came on and did a tribute to him. And she interviewed me for an hour for my 1800th show, and that was last New Year's Eve. And it was a pretty fun talk. I was very candid.
Well, I love that. I'm definitely going to need to look that one up and hear it because I think that would be really interesting. And yeah, you are no shy person. No. I think you've got some really good stories going on.
Oh, no. Yeah, you've always known me as candid, no filter. I just believe in being honesty. I can't believe how many people lie in this world. I really can't.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's one of the things that really kind of drew us together when we first met because I didn't really care about anything. I didn't want to hear bullshit. I'd call people out and just like you and kind of all right, I think that was something that definitely drew us together for sure. But it's funny because I will often look back at times in that period, and I feel like I'm also a very shy person too. And I don't know how that makes sense. Very vocal and kind of outgoing, but I feel like that's kind of a front sometimes. And I feel like a lot of the times, people don't know, me, and I can be a very shy and insecure person. And that drives me crazy, I think, sometimes, because I'm like, how can I be both? How can that happen? But, I think it's just kind of the people you're with and the settings that you're in and how comfortable you are with that. And so, I think for me right now in my life, I'm trying to kind of just explore who I am again. And I was really nervous to come on, and I'm glad I did. Pushed me out of my comfort zone. So thank you for that.
I'm so glad too, it's just, unless we hadn't talked in a really long time as well, and I have a lot of good and bad memories of that period, especially 2014. I have so much PTSD from 2014.
I believe it.
One bad job after another, one bad job interview after another, and things that happened to me that are just so crazy. I'm working on my memoirs. I've been trying to do that the last few years, and I've been having trouble, writing stuff that just makes me completely cry because I don't talk about stuff that much. There's one story I'll tell you that I've told a lot of people that. It's a great example of how big your ego can get, especially when you see signs of that you need to take a step back, but then you're just like, nah, this is just a fluke. I'll keep going. Well, in 2014, this friend of mine that I knew from the bars since I started going to the bars in 2007, he he let me stay in his hotel. He was staying out of a hotel for a long time, and he let me stay with him while I was homeless. And after he found out that the charges against him were dropped, we were going to go celebrate. And he got a call from his mother back home in Minnesota, where he was from, and she said, "I can get you a flight, this Sunday," and it was Friday. And so I was like, okay, we're going to go celebrate tonight and Saturday. So I have no memory of Friday night. I mean, we got plastered, I remember. And then Saturday night, I got plastered again, but here's where the mysticism comes in for me. At 1:30, he decides he wants to do cocaine one last time before he goes back to Minnesota. And I don't do that shit, but I have to go with him. So we're at Yuppies in downtown San Mateo at 1:30 a.m. after been drinking there since 9. And so we walk with a bunch of guys to that apartment building, Hillsborough Plaza. You know that place? Yeah, it looks so beautiful in the front, but when you go inside, it's very dingy in there. Very gross, I'll tell you. So we go to this apartment, and there's like 5 guys in there, not counting the couple guys that came with us. And I go to sit down on the couch, and there's a transgender person sitting there watching TV. And we spend about probably a good 20 minutes just all talking and laughing and having a good time. And then he's like, "Hey, Tommy, I'm going to go in the room with the guys." And I'm like, "Okay." So I look at my cell phone, and it's 2:45. And I fall asleep on the couch. I wake up, and the transgender person's still there. I look down, my clothes are still on, thank God. And I look at my phone, and it's 4:45 a.m. And he comes out of the room 30 seconds later, and he's like, "Hey, Tommy, we gotta catch the last bus, man." I mean, he's all uppity from the cocaine, and he's like, "We gotta go catch the bus." So we caught the bus, and we got back to the hotel in Redwood City at 5:45. And I fell asleep on the floor, went right to bed, fell asleep on the floor. He woke me up at 10:30 because we had to check out at 11. And then we went to go get him some toiletries for the flight at Target. And then we went to go to have L&L barbecue in downtown San Mateo. And after we had the emotional goodbye, after we ate, he had to go catch his flight. He had to go meet up with his buddy who was taking his car that he was driving. I was going to the bus stop crying my eyes out because he was such a good friend of me, and I had to go back to the bullshit of being homeless again and staying at wherever I was staying at the time. And I was like, I need to quit drinking because that was such a scary experience last night. Like, something could have happened, Then I get a text from this job that I applied for and found out I got it. And my birthday was that following weekend, so I was like, okay, I'm going to drink another week and then I'm going to quit. But I didn't quit. I kept going. And that experience was so profound to me.
Yeah. Wow. There's a lot of times, I think, looking back on stuff where I have told myself, gosh, you're so lucky, to have come through that situation or whatever it is. And, you think, whatever may have scared you is going to really scare you for good. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. And, you just got to kind of count those blessings as they come with that. But yeah, there's definitely something to be said about, thank God nothing did happen, right? That could have been, especially in that area, that could have definitely been a different, while you're talking about that and I'm hearing the story, I'm like, oh no, what is he going to say? He woke up and what happened? And, I'm glad that nothing did happen. I mean, there are a lot of shady people out there that could just do things and not, have any remorse about it for whatever it is. And definitely glad that, you were able to walk away from that and look at you now with everything. So
Yeah, it was deeply profound, you know, and I just tell that story all the time now. It's one of those stories from that year that didn't leave me, I'll tell you. And then the guy I was in the accident with, not long after that, he and I went out and we got roofied and robbed at a strip bar, and it went from bad to worse that year.
Yeah. Oh wow. God. And that was 2014, you said?
Yeah, the summer of 2014.
Gosh. Well, it's almost 10 years ago.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, how many tattoos do you have?
How many? Let's see. I have to count. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know, like maybe 8 or 9. I just actually realized what I want my next one to be. It's been several years since I've gotten one. I definitely want to get something for my kids. Right, my 2 kids, Hazen and Harley. I don't know what I want to get, if I want to do their names or footprints or whatever it is. Yeah. But I realized I also want to get something on one of my forearms that is pretty bare, and it's going to be a set of tiger eyes, I think. Yeah. Like some kind of ghost-like tiger eyes. So I'm excited to do that. I'm going to have to book an appointment and get it done soon.
Yeah, because I remember. You had a couple tattoos. I talked to somebody the other day about tattoos, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I wish I had gotten a tattoo of Bart Simpson mooning, so it'd be on my stomach and my belly button could be his asshole.
I think that's great. Brian just showed me a picture, a meme on Facebook or something, and I'll have to send it to you on Messenger as soon as we get off. But it's a picture of a guy, you know, bare-chested, and he has, what was it? I think it was Stewie and Snoopy, one on each, where the nipple was like either like the dick or the butthole, and it was just like and Brian just shows me, and I like just straight bare face, and I'm like, really? Like,
love it.
He's like, this is the greatest of all time. So, yeah, I'll definitely have to send that to you.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't get a tattoo for your birthday this year.
I know. I just had my birthday. Well, you know, my artist that I used to go to and get all my ink from, he unfortunately passed away. And so I haven't really, I've gotten, you know, 1 or 2 since then. Like I try and do it when I would go travel. Like, let me go get a tattoo from somewhere. You know, last time I was, that I got was when I was in Hawaii. I got a tattoo when I was there, or when I was down in Long Beach at a reggae festival with some friends. We got matching tattoos there. But I don't really have a regular artist I go to anymore since he passed away. So I need to find one and definitely get some new ink.
Yeah, you should. I mean, you know, get them while you're young. You know, my dad, he's had the same tattoo since the mid '70s with his nickname Bodiac on there, and you can tell it's from the '70s. It's like old ink, old.
The old green kind of.
Yeah. Old green tattoos. Do you still talk to Curtis?
Not on a regular basis, no. I mean, I think the last couple of times we talked was through Messenger or even on LinkedIn. He's down in Texas with his husband, and I think he's still making music. I mean, that was one of the, you know, you talk about great fun memories, and, you know, when going in downtown Palo Alto, he was definitely one of them. I mean, that guy is just so musically inclined, such a great spirit, so friendly, such a really good person. And I have fond memories of, you know, just hanging out with him and one of his friends that, you know, just go to their apartment downtown and just listen to them like write music and sing, and I kind of sit there and, you know, just enjoy it and have some wine and, you know, kind of give my input here or there. But, you know, what do I really know about that kind of stuff? I just know I liked it. What sounds good to me. But no, that was a lot of fun. So yeah, the last time I talked to him, I think he was just kind of putting his album together. And, you know, I think he's still down in Texas with his hubby.
He's such a cutie.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's a great looking couple right there.
Yeah, wow, that's so cool. So real quick, we got to play by secret silly game. This is a series of silly slumber party questions. No win or lose. It's just pure fun. And how the game works is I ask you the question, you answer it, and then you ask me that exact same question and I answer it. And feel free to comment on the answers because they might be funny.
Okay, let's see what you got.
Okay, Liz, are you ticklish?
I am, yes. Tommy, are you ticklish?
Yes, if you tickle me without warning, though, I might hit you in the groin.
That is just like Brian. I try and get him all the time with my nails, and he's like, you better be careful. You might accidentally get hit.
I like that. That's actually pretty hot. I kind of know the answer to this. Is your belly button an innie or an outie?
It is an innie. Is your belly button an innie or an outie?
It is an innie, yes. What color are your toenails painted?
They are a deep purple. What color are your toenails painted?
Right now they're not painted, but last time they were purple lavender.
Oh, I love it. We're on the same wavelength. And I remember you sending me all kinds of pictures of your toenails.
Oh, yes.
Years ago. You've got great feet.
I used to have great feet. My right foot is just so gross after the accident. After I've had metal put in and everything, it's horrendous. Yeah. What would you say is your best personality trait?
Best personality trait. I think right now I'm really into mom mode. So I'm always trying to take care of people, make sure everyone's fed, make sure nobody needs anything. I'm always on mom right now. So I try and just be really caring to everybody that I meet, whether I know you or not, and just make sure that, you're good. You don't need anything or how can I help you? What can I do to help you? I feel like that makes me feel good, whether it's in a selfish way or not. But I'm really all about let me just come over here. Let me hug you. Let me hold you. Let me feed you. Let me take care of you. What do you need?
Yeah.
So Tommy, what is your most favorite character trait about you?
Oh, you know this about me. I have empathy and I have no filter.
Yes, I think I love those two things about you the best.
Oh, thank you. If you could have anything named after you, what would it be?
I think a nice cocktail would be nice to have. I think that would be really fun.
The Liz Alexander?
Something. It's got to be something spicy, something with tequila in it, but a little bit of sweetness. So I don't know what that would be, but if you come up with anything or anyone out there does, feel free to reach out to me and I will try it and we'll make a cocktail named out after me. What would you like to have named after you?
I'd like to have a vibrator named after me.
And what special tricks would that vibrator do? Because I know there's a lot of different kinds out there.
Well, let's see. If it had a clit sucker on it, it would be the Tommy Constrictor.
That would be a bestseller right there for sure.
Yeah, overall, I'd call it the Tommy Chatsy. And then my favorite question, is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
Stinky smell that just makes me gag. I can't really think of any, to be honest. I have recently been thrown up on by my kids so many times that you would think that would make me gag, but I can actually hold it down pretty well with that. And I would say, if anything, that would be the smell, but you get a lot of interesting smells when you become a mom, especially of two kids at this age. So no, I think there isn't any smell that would make me gag. No. What about you? Is there any kind of gross smell that would make you gag?
Either farts or feet.
I would say, you know what, as I'm doing this and thinking about it, probably dirty balls. That might be the one. Like, there's nothing more horrible than having that just right in your face when you're trying to perform. Like, that would just be a big no-go for me.
Okay, what are you telling me about Brett?
No.
I'm kidding.
That's funny.
I have a couple jokes for you.
Okay.
Okay, what do you call a boy that doesn't masturbate?
I don't know.
A liar.
Oh, that's true. Yes, yes, that's a good one. I'm gonna have to remember these ones so I can tell these to Brian. Okay, what's the next one?
Why is tofu like a dildo?
I don't know.
They are both meat substitutes.
That's great.
And one more. How do you finger a virgin?
How do you finger a virgin? I don't know.
Very
With your
gently.
Pinky? Very gently.
That one I made up.
Small down there.
Yeah. That one I made up.
Oh, wow. Those were all really good.
Thank you, hun. And thank you so much for coming on. I'm glad we finally did this today. And let's talk unrecorded sometime. And I hope you have a happy holiday season with your family. And stay safe out there. Thank you for being my 1900th guest.
Thank you so much, Tommy. It was so fun to chat with you and reminisce over old times. And I'm very much honored to be your 1900th guest, and I just congratulate you on all your success and just everything where you've come from, and I would love to stay in touch with you. You can hit me up anytime. Hopefully we can even get together in person and at some point.
Yes, next time I'm in the Bay, closer to the Bay because I'm in the East Bay, I will hit you up, I promise.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season ahead, and much love to you and your family.
You too. Kisses.
Okay. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Liz Alexander. Ain't she a sweetheart? I just love her. Yeah, it's been a long time since we've seen each other, but I'm so glad that she finally came on and we had the chat today. It got heavy, but it also got lighthearted and fun as well. I mean, we basically talked the way we would talk unrecorded, so it wasn't much of a stretch. Well, until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.